All right. We are live today on Shure.com, and we're here to talk to you about the STEM ecosystem. I'm Laura Davidson, and I'm joined by Mario Ponce and Budvitis. That's what we're going to call you. We're going to call you Bud.
You got it right. You got it right.
Ryan Budvitis, we call him Bud. So we're here to talk about STEM, and they're joining us live from the STEM office in Irvine. What's up,
Beautiful
guys?
step.
Yeah,
Beautiful
it's a
office
nice
here.
day. Feeling like California summer finally.
I know, right? But you look chilly, Bud. What's going on? You got a
The
jacket
air
on?
conditioning in here is it's pretty substantial. So, even
Okay.
though it's really hot outside, you walk in here, especially this back office, this specific conference room gets a little chilly. So,
All right.
it's,
All right.
it's
Well,
short.
I'm here in sunny Connecticut and living my best life, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about STEM, which is an exciting line of products that we offer that also happens to be on sale this month, this next couple of months. So we thought, why not get online here and chat with all of you, and let's talk about STEM.
Yeah, totally. We were having a really cool conversation about, well, we just had some lunch.
Yeah.
And we were having a cool conversation about the STEM as an ecosystem. And I kind of have a cool graphic here that just kind of highlights like what all is included in this STEM ecosystem.
Yeah.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about some of this stuff?
Yeah. And we're gonna dive into like each individual product, but as you see here, this is the suite of products that are within the ecosystem. And we have a ceiling, which is just microphones. We have a wall unit with microphones and speakers. We have a table unit with microphones and a speaker. We have the hub device when you have multiple devices, is what brings everything together. We have a speaker, which is just a speaker. Obviously, that usually gets paired with the ceiling. And we have our control, which is one way to access the platform and manage the overall system. But you see all of this, and everything can be mixed and matched together however you see fit. And they're all networkable devices, so they communicate over the network. And you can really just, the combinations are endless. So that gives a nice little 30,000-foot overview before we really dig in.
It does. Yeah. And I think that's what's so important, though, is that it can be mixed and matched to really create and fit your particular solution, just create an optimal solution for you. So it's super easy to use. I can even do it. And I've never done anything with conferencing equipment in my life.
Talking about that too. Like, yeah, that's something, where there's a lot of roadblocks, especially for me. So this is something that's super easy to connect. So I'm right there with you, Laura, on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So
Well, so you saw.
we're actually using the table right now
Yeah.
for our microphone.
That's
and
incredible. It sounds
also
great.
for our playback too. So we're actually using the table for both microphone and speaker, which is a totally cool thing.
Which
When you put
I
the two
have.
together, you get viewed. There you go.
Hey.
I have mine right here. She's not hooked up right now because it would be kind of overkill for me in my tiny little room when I have this MV7 to use, but I do use it sometimes when I want to be able to walk around because it has this really cool function where it follows you and tracks you. Bud, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The way that like the lights work, and it's on both the wall unit as well as the table unit, which is just a little blue light that will kind of just like the beamforming algorithms wherever it is it's situated. Like right now, we're looking at our table unit, which everyone can't see, but there's a blue light directly facing towards us. But if I got around and moved around, that blue light would follow me wherever I am. And same with the wall unit too. It kind of points where the direction is in terms of where someone's sitting. So that's a pretty cool aspect of it.
Very cool.
Yeah, and
I'm jumping ahead already.
there's a lot of technology inside of it too.
Yeah.
Like I think I have a really cool sort of exploded view of all the tech that's happening. So, it's a microphone and a speaker, but inside there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Because usually when you put a microphone and a speaker together, sometimes they don't play very nicely.
Yes. And that's all of the stuff that, way smarter people than myself figured out, the DSP functionalities, the echo cancellation, noise canceling, automatic gain control. But again, especially that echo cancellation. But the actual DSP can only go so far. Physically, it needs to be created in such a way. And the table unit specifically, while having 9 microphones, which is a lot of microphones for a tabletop device, it has a downward facing speaker. And the way that was situated is it allowed there enough separation from the microphone and speakers for the echo cancellation to actually work. But it was specifically designed that way with the downward facing speaker, and it also has openings along the bottom so the sound kind of goes off of the table out into the room, which is super cool. Yes, as you see right there. And that, again, it was all specifically designed that way so the echo cancellation can work properly.
Yeah, it's a fantastic unit. And what's the ideal scenario and use case for that, Bud, would you say?
I'd say, kind of a small, if you were just using it, because there's something really special about both the table unit and the wall unit, because they are microphone and speakers, they can be standalone devices. And so you can, like the room that we're in right now is about probably a 12 by 15, and it's probably getting to the, like one table unit could work for this, which has like a 10-person table, and it could absolutely work in the direct center. And then anything smaller than that, of course it works. But this is probably where the table unit starts to reach its limits in terms of as a single device. So I would say, yeah, it's pretty remarkable for small huddle spaces, your home office. It works beautifully well. And then even up to like a small to medium-sized conference room.
Perfect.
Something to point out too. So we're doing this live stream, right? And when Laura and I do live streams, we commonly use our MV7s because we're, or we're doing a podcast or something. But for this live stream, we're actually using the table, and I'm assigning it right into Ecamm, and it's acting as both the mic and the speaker, which is awesome.
Yeah, because it is just all the devices are, again, being networkable. It needs to communicate over the network, but that's also where it gets its power. So it's all PoE plus, but all the devices do have USB as well. But again, because the table unit and wall have both microphone and speaker, it can be that standalone device. So while it's connected to the network, which also could be connected with a PoE injector, really all we did is we just took the unit and USB'd it directly into Mario's computer, and we're off to the races.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
Really,
and then for those who stream out there, I just assign the table in Ecamm. Yeah. And then we're off to the races. So.
Yep.
Like you said, really easy to use. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's just the table and the wall we kind of touched on, which maybe that's a nice segue into the wall and kind of where you would place it, because putting it on the tabletop is not exactly where.
You just want to be able to show it,
I know.
It being one of the units that's on, this has got a promotion as well throughout this summer. But yes, obviously you're going to be placing the wall unit up at the front, either underneath or above the display. Usually it gets placed beneath. It's just more of a common. And then there's usually a camera that gets placed. As you're witnessing in this video right now, the wall unit comes with a camera bracket that comes within the box. So it works really, really well below a display and having the camera in between that and the display. And the wall unit being both, again, microphone and speaker, the way that it works is it has 15 microphones that are more like in kind of center. The speakers are along the side, and it actually has some subwoofers as well. So this thing has incredible output as well as the ability to pick up people in a room that's conservatively about 20, maybe 25 feet. But if you get it in a room with some decent acoustics, like I have been in a room where I was 35, 40 feet away from a wall unit with my back turned to the device, and it still picked me up perfectly. So
wow.
Some situations it's pretty impressive, but overall it works remarkably well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And same ease of use getting it into the ecosystem.
Yes. And with that, usually in that scenario, you start to get more into, you could still use it in your home office, but it starts to be more in conferencing spaces where usually the computer at that point will be like a small form factor PC behind the display hidden out of the way. So again, it's getting power over Ethernet, and then that USB is just direct to that, whatever that compute is. And or also something to mention, which we will talk about more later, but bring your own device too. So this stuff works fantastically well with Barco, or we have a brand new partnership with Airtame, and it works really well with that too. So, but in the wall scenario, it's usually all that stuff's hidden, all the cables and all the stuff is hidden behind the display. So it makes for a really, really clean install.
That's cool.
Nice. Very cool.
And then I also noticed in the ecosystem, right, there's the ceiling, right? And I've got another really cool video that I could show for the ceiling.
Yeah.
But let's, like I said, or like you said, there's a lot going on inside this wall. So a cool little graphic there to kind of talk to all the technology that goes into this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But we also have the ceiling too. Or not? Is there a ceiling in here?
No, there's
not in this particular room.
Yeah.
But we've got this,
Yes.
which is awesome. So I'm assuming essentially working the same way as a wall, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, with it so it's 100 microphone elements, and it's just a microphone. So obviously it either gets paired a lot of times with a wall unit to where that's the output, or you're utilizing our speaker, and or you're utilizing, third-party speakers, which we'll get to how that gets brought into the system, into the hub. But usually when you have a ceiling, you're going to now involve the hub, because the ceiling cannot, well, it does have USB technically because we built all of the units the same. You're never really going to use it that way just because it is just a microphone. But it has, with the ceiling unit, you have three different ways that you can, utilize the beams. So you can have a wide dispersed beam, a medium, as well as more of a narrow dispersed beam. And they're utilized in different scenarios. So, in the conference rooms that we're in right now, like there's a lot of glass, like we have a whole glass wall, and that's all kind of straightforward standard offices are not acoustically treated. And so in a room like this, we would use more of a medium beam in order to kind of not pick up what's on the wall. So that's something that can be changed within the software very, very easily. But yeah, so the ceiling can also be it comes with a 2x2 square, so it can be mounted directly in a 2x2 grid. And it also comes with all the stuff needed to suspend it down in chandelier mode, if that is what the room calls for, like taller ceilings, vaulted ceilings, anything like that. Drop it down like you would a light fixture, and get it closer to the participants in the meeting that way. So it's also, and again, it's just it's another tool in the toolkit within the ecosystem of products.
So you mentioned software.
Yeah.
So there are, I think, two really, I'm sure there's more, but there's two most important pieces of software. And you mentioned different types of room, vaulted ceilings. There's a whole glass wall on the side here. So there's something that comes with all the STEM products, and that's the room adapt, right?
Yeah, which I think the one thing we should touch upon before that is the room design.
The room design.
Because the room design also plays a part within the room adapt. So it's actually a tool that anyone can use. Like those of you that are watching right now could actually open up another tab and go on Shure's website, go to the STEM ecosystem, and actually click on design a room, and you can actually design your own room right there and actually, put in the furniture, all that type of stuff. But within our software, because there is a software component to STEM as well, but you build a room when you actually have the units inside the room itself. You actually build out that room with the dimensions, you put the devices where they are, and once you have that design, you then can run Room Adapt, which what Room Adapt does, it actually, it's a lot more complicated than this, but the units send out a chirping signal, and what that's doing is it's measuring the RT60 number of the room, which is the reverberant signature of the room. People that are way more into audio than I am knows exactly what that is. I needed to learn what this was myself. But pretty much it's understanding if there are hard surfaces, glass walls, vaulted ceilings, and the units are calibrating to the type of room that they're in. So, and I will say this though, it's not a magic bullet. It's not like taking a table unit into an echo chamber and it's going to sound like a cell phone call, but the units will calibrate and adapt to the rooms that they're in, especially if you have I have 5 rooms that are of the same size, but they're different in, the glass and the tall, how high the ceilings are and whatnot. like all those rooms will sound exactly the same, even though they aren't different, because the units did adapt to those spaces.
Yeah, and again, it looks like it's easy to use too.
Very easy. It's just a button. Once you kind of have it in there and it's all set up, you just press it. The chirps happen for about under a minute, and little bloops. It's like bloop bloop, and then you're off and running. It's
easy is good. So
Yes. I think that's what we really need to emphasize here is that STEM is for those of you who are like me, who've never really encountered conferencing systems and are ready to make that jump. You can install it yourself. It's super simple to use. We have some amazing tutorial videos available as well. So supportive content. And the customer happiness team is second to none at STEM. Let's talk about them a little bit because you work with them more than I do, bud.
Yes, and it's such a cool story too. STEM. When we first started STEM, it's just the hiring of and the creation of a customer happiness team was, let's bring people from hospitality, and this product line is straightforward enough. Like, yes, it's not. It still has some stuff that happens. You still have to have like you have to understand what a network cable is and what a USB cable is, but it is nowhere near like, all right, we're doing EQ adjustments and all this kind of crazy stuff. But that idea of hiring people from hospitality to give that white glove service to our customers was really what we wanted to create. And that's exactly what has happened is if you ever have an issue and you call into the number, you're getting a live human immediately who's ready to help you with your issues. Or it's like, hey, I bought all this stuff and I need help setting it up. And just on a quick, like 30-minute to 40-minute call with somebody actually walking you through, even like hardware, drilling holes and stuff like that. After that 30-minute phone call, you have a system that's up and running and working. And so if you are a little bit savvy, you can do it all yourself. But if you're not, no worries. All you got to do is give us a call and we'll walk you through everything that's needed. So it's an incredible team. And just no more I can say about them other than just awesome. So
yeah, it's great to have that kind of support too.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like having someone real to talk to right out the gate. If you have an issue, you call, boom, you get someone. That's very, very important.
Yeah, because if that doesn't happen, usually it's customer unhappiness. What
Right.
happens at that point.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So
right on. And then also, Laura, we have support through Shure with the Shure Audio Institute.
Yes.
Like short minute tutorials.
Oh yeah.
Some of the stuff too. So you're covered basically.
Yes.
With a live person or virtually, we have all that stuff available too.
And I think something really to take note of is because there is a product that we haven't discussed yet, which we do need to really to wrap all this up is the hub.
The hub, right?
And so the hub, as you will see, the hub has some connectors on the back there where again it's network connection, and it also has the USB connection, and then it also has like a terminal block as well. And really, if you have more than one device, the way that the hub works is all of the units, because you can actually have up to 10 audio devices within a room. So you can have 10 wall units, 10 table units, which is covering a pretty substantially large area, but you can do that. And what the hub does is it aggregates all of those things over the network. So the units, they're not daisy chained together. They're all connected to the network. So if you had a room that had 6 devices, you would have an 8-port PoE plus switch in that room. All the devices are connected to that switch. They find each other over the network. There is like the software component, which can be accessed over HDML or using our control. And at that point, you're just bringing all those devices into the room. And then what happens then is the hub is taking that aggregated, all of the microphones, all of the speakers, everything that's happening, and it's just navigating it into one single channel USB in and out. And so whether you're using a single table unit like we're doing right now, where it's directly connected USB, or 10 wall units, and then you have the hub that's connected USB to the same computer, the exact same thing would be happening in terms of like uploading it to Ecamm or using it in Zoom, in Teams. So that's the thing that's really cool about it is is the use case for the ultimate end user and the IT director and the IT manager is it's the exact same, whether it's a single device or up to 10 of them. It's really the functionality and how you access everything and how you use it with your video conferencing is exactly the same. So the training is virtually nothing in terms of small rooms to larger rooms. It's all the same. So that's something to really,
It's
really
scalable. Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
That's cool. I think that's important that it's scalable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big.
And the ease of use, yeah, the solution scales, but the ease of use doesn't also scale to something that becomes more complicated. It stays the same in terms of its ease of use.
Cool.
Well, and we've also done a lot of updates recently to firmware that has improved the functionality even more. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, prior to the Shure acquisition, STEM was its own company and we did a lot of great things. But after that, Shure and just the fantastic and incredible engineers really, really, I mean, our team started to work together. And so it got underneath the hood and just greatly improved the overall audio quality from a microphone and a speaker scenario. So there's been a bunch of those updates that have been happening over the last couple years. But more recently, from just a firmware update standpoint, there's been a couple few huge ones. One of them is that ability to everything to connect over link local, which in layman's terms, prior to that, you needed to have a router involved in an installation. So the units would have a DHCP and have that as in terms of its IP address, and that's how the units found each other, which just added an additional component. But now it's just with that switch again, whether it's and something to really a sidetrack, but if you have a standalone device like a single wall or a single table, you could connect that with just a PoE plus injector and then just connect it USB and you're fine. You don't even need the networking component. But now when you have multiple devices in a room, they're all just connected to a switch and the units just find each other. As long as you just access that on a computer on that same network, the units will just find each other. And again, it makes it one step even easier. And so that was a huge update. And another one another big one was the API. So it's something that I personally have been asking for a while, and it finally happened, which is so awesome, is the management aspect of because you can manage these rooms, again, whether you're connecting to all of your rooms over HDML or using our control device. But now you can take that API and in any management software that you're using as an IT director or manager, you can now bring in the management of your STEM rooms within that single pane of glass that you're now doing all of your other stuff as well, like managing the rest of your network and all the other devices. So it's just another incredible update. And then another cool update that happened with the room design tool, which you can actually go see again on our website, is you now have the ability to both see microphone pickup, and then you can also see speaker coverage of within the design tool. You can toggle back and forth. So it's that ability to really build out your rooms and know exactly what it is that you're getting into. And I think that's something too that the STEM ecosystem has allowed our customers to do, is be a part of the process. Historically, with more complicated spaces, it's like the end user doesn't know, shoot, okay, I need this next level programming and all this stuff. And they're like, okay, I get it, I guess. But that ability for them to actually build the rooms themselves and understand these where the devices are, this is the microphone pickup, this is the speaker coverage. Yeah. It's so cool. So it's bringing in that equity of the experience of being a part of the process. So that's another really cool update that we've done. And then I think one of the more recent ones too is that ability to take individual devices and kind of either turn up or turn down the output of the speakers. So you can really create a soundscape you can have it be a little louder up front, and then if you're using a speaker, have it or a little less loud up front and a little bit more loud from a speaker in the ceiling. So there's just a lot of things you can do to create a better soundscape for your room. So it's just, and we're always aiming to kind of make the products better and better and better. Those are some big ones that happened recently.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, mission accomplished. And making them even better.
You got everyone
Definitely.
covered. You got everything covered.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually have some people joining, one of them being James Hicks, and he is a fantastic live streamer. So he's an interesting kind of audience type that maybe people don't always think about when they think about STEM, but it's a really cool option if you're wanting to have freedom and flexibility to be able to roam around your space and have more room. So, James, check out that STEM table. Get on board, man. It's a game
Yeah,
changer.
I mean, it is a great time to purchase. Again, we have that promotion going on, so it is for a
Yeah.
minimal, investment. Again, yeah, that ability. Like I could walk. This is like I said, this is probably a 12 by 16. Like I can walk around this room every
Mhm.
inch of this. If we had a bigger camera and I was doing something throughout this whole space, and I would hear you'd hear me exactly the same throughout this whole
Yeah.
room. So definitely yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I think that's a great feature too. The ability to just roam,
Yeah.
and the table's going to follow you, kind of, which I think is awesome. So
I think probably more practical outside of live streaming for people who are, sitting around a table and there's multiple speakers. But still, I can envision, I can dream, right, that I'm going to be just wandering around
out of the
my
box,
office,
out of the box.
pontificating.
Yeah.
Yeah, turn my camera off and just like be in the other room doing laundry and it'll pick me up just fine. Oh wait, no.
So
That's what our wireless systems are for.
yes,
Yes. All right, so we've talked about the table, the wall, the ceiling, the hub, control. We haven't really talked about control.
Yeah. So control. With that, it is it's like our proprietary tablet, and it can again it's a pathway into our platform in order to manage the rooms. But something to really take note of is it is an accessory. It's not necessary in any instance, and so it's not something that you need, but it's something that can be added on. And something that's really cool is it can become a Zoom room. So and it also, you can actually do SIP dialing with it. So if you are a customer that is a Power Zoom user and also happen to want to do still make VoIP calls, which I know it seems to be something that is like not as prevalent as it once was, but it's still just I mean, in that case, it's like, yes, the control is 100% for you. But yeah, it's sits on the table. It also is a networkable device, but again, it's a pathway into our ecosystem and the platform to be able to create the rooms, bring the devices in. But that same functionality can happen over our applications that you can find, or just by again taking one of the IP addresses of the devices and plugging that in HTML and accessing the platform that way. So it's just another tool.
yeah, that's cool.
Excellent.
Like I said, everything covered.
Everything covered. Yeah, I mean, I think then the other part is we do have just a PoE speaker as well.
Oh,
And
we forgot speaker. Oh, I
and
left it
speaker,
out.
yeah, and speaker just it usually gets paired with the ceiling, obviously,
Oh,
because they're that's just a speaker and that's just a microphone,
yeah.
perfect combination. But there's also scenarios where it can make sense, which it has made sense a lot in education, where say if because again the wall unit can actually pick up like a 30 foot space in a lot of instances, even though our design tool it's a conservative estimate, but again it's dependent on acoustics and things like that. But we have tons of schools that have utilized the wall that way, which is a single device. But when you actually have that up at the front, obviously students or in a conference room, people sitting closer to the wall unit's output are going to have a better experience than somebody sitting back here.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in that scenario of adding an additional speaker in the back part of the room just gives a better experience overall. So while usually it gets paired with the ceiling, it can be paired with the wall or can be paired with the table. Really, in any instance, in some scenarios, people are like, well, look, yeah, they have their reasonings for it. And so it's just, again, another great tool that can be utilized.
That's cool. Sure.
Very cool. All right, now we got all the members of the family. Poor speaker getting left out in the cold. Oh, my bad. My bad. So we got the whole ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I don't have any questions coming in Q&A wise. Anything new that we want to share that we didn't touch on or?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the promo, which is just a huge discount on the wall unit, the table unit, and the hub. through basically summer. And it's something that I did touch on briefly, but bring your own device. I mean, that is a huge sector that has done very, very well for the STEM ecosystem product line as a whole, is that ease of use to, again, that USB connection, while it can be connected to a laptop like it is right now, while it could be connected to a room computer with something like a wireless keyboard and mouse, it also can be connected to a scenario where, there's a touch interface of starting your meeting, and it can be connected that way to a computer, or it can be connected to a bring your own device system. And we actually have certified partnerships with Barco, ClickShare, as well as Airtame. And so both of those, again, just make STEM so much more accessible for if they want to have a conference room. And again, it's that customer who's like, look, I want to set all this stuff up, and I'm not very AV savvy, but this absolutely works for me. And I now have the ability to either someone can plug in a dongle or download an application and utilize bring your own device and have all of the STEM devices connected USB directly to that hub that both of those product offerings have. And then it just overtakes the audio of the room. It just makes it, again, it's just another use case where STEM just is the perfect solution. So I think that is something that I wanted to mention. And, maybe also just some successes that we've had in different sectors, because this can absolutely work in a home office scenario, small, medium-sized businesses. And I'd also say education has been huge for us. Again, I did kind of touch upon, people utilizing, single wall unit or multiple wall units in education. And I also would think some people think of STEM and they think of it being for more small rooms. And I correct them there, because while yes, it works well in smaller rooms, it also works extremely well in larger conference rooms too. But the difference is it's for more of a standard, straightforward room. It's a straightforward room where it's all they're doing in it is video conferencing. That's it. They want to have a high-end solution, and maybe they also don't have the same budget for, like, they even have a 20 by 30 foot space, but they're like, look, I don't want to spend X amount of tens of thousands of dollars. I want to do something under 10. And with the current, I mean, it's kind of wild. You can outfit a 20 by 30 with like a 20-foot conference table with 2 table units for the promo is, it's $500. And the hub, like, you can be under $1,500 and outfit a conference room audio wise. That's a 20 by 30 foot conference room, which is pretty incredible. It really
That's
is.
insane.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So it is that, but again, all that's happening in that room is just straightforward video conferencing, remote participants being heard, and then the people talking in the room being heard by remote participants. There's not voice lift happening and not all this other stuff that needs to happen with control systems and all of that, which we have a whole other product line for that can do all
right.
of that. So, but yeah, I'd say
we did have Richard chime in saying speaker sizes. So he was asking about just asking that as the general question, which I guess, like this has its own fixed set of speakers on the table. But I mean, there is only, when you're talking about the speaker itself, that's just one model
size.
available.
Yeah, it's one size. And I actually, the exact dimensions are eluding me, but it's about the same. Like, the footprint is about the same as a normal speaker would be in the ceiling.
It's probably the same as this, isn't it? It's roughly the size of the table.
Roughly, I think it might be a little bigger, possibly.
Like, comparing to the size of my head.
We'll see. If you were,
Good Lord, this is not how you use this microphone, people. Okay? It sits on the table. I can't be trusted. I can't be taken anywhere.
If you were to go to the speaker part of the STEM ecosystem part of the website, you'd find all of that information too. There's a wealth of knowledge on the STEM ecosystem part of the website, where there's reference designs that you can look up, which you can see connection guides, you can see, different case studies, all that stuff. And you can find, definitely download. There's the manual as well as like the spec sheet, which have all the dimensions and stuff like that too.
Fabulous.
Now for a serious question.
Yeah.
What are your plans this weekend?
I'm actually going to your direction. I'm going to sunny San Diego.
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
Spending the weekend.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll bring some sunshine.
Right on.
I think we're gonna have a nice weekend.
It's been pretty gloomy.
It has been, yeah.
They're in California. Listen to them complaining. Oh my goodness. It's summertime, everybody. But if you're watching this in the winter and on a replay, sorry in advance. All right. So, anything else, guys, that you want to add?
Yeah, I think that's it.
STEM covers it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to reiterate thanking you for allowing me to come down to the office.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful office, and I'm super glad that I was able to come spend some time with you guys here too.
Anytime, Mario.
And you can't see him, but Evan's right there, the AV genius. So thanks,
Wizard. Evan. Yes. And also, I put some links in the description of the video. So if you want to go over there and learn more about all of the products that we talked about, they're right there for you. So give a click and start exploring.
And that did remind me of something to also say. We also have not only the promotions happening, but we're also running bundles, which have not only STEM products, but it also has, some of them have a camera offering along with that. And then some of the larger offerings that involve like multiple STEM devices not only have the hub, but it also has the PoE plus switch, the different cable lengths, depending on if you're using ceiling. Obviously, we're going to give you longer cables for that, but everything needed to build out these rooms, regardless of what the size are, we do have a bundle for it. So that's cool. Definitely check those out as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. We do these live streams once a month on shure.com/livestream. Be sure to subscribe to the Shure Creators channel so that you get notified when we're going live. And we'll see you in a month. Bud, Mario, thanks for hanging. Everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.